Welcome, and thank you for your interest in the Pennsylvania's Communication Plan for Deaf, Hard of Hearing, and Deafblind students. We are excited to share this information with you. The mission of the Pennsylvania Training and Technical Assistance Network is to support the efforts and initiatives of the Bureau of Special Education and to build the capacity of local educational agencies to serve students who receive special education services. Our goal for each child is to ensure individualized education program teams begin with the general education setting with the use of supplementary aids and services before considering a more restrictive environment. The communication plan is mandated by IDEA 2004 and implements Pennsylvania's Chapter 14 regulations as a required component of the IEP for any student with a hearing loss who is receiving a service, support, or activity from an audiologist and/or a teacher of the deaf and hard of hearing. The Educational Resources for Children with Hearing Loss Group, ERCL, is an advisory committee to the Bureau of Special Education. Its mission is to promote the excellence in the provision of educational programs and services for all Pennsylvania students who are deaf or hard of hearing. ERCL established a subcommittee in the fall of 2021 to review and update Pennsylvania's communication plan for deaf and hard of hearing and deafblind students. The purpose of the revisions are to ensure the understanding of when the plan should be completed in the IEP team meeting, how often it should be revised, and who should complete the plan and be part of the discussion. It emphasizes the use of data assessment results to inform the discussion. It highlights who contributes to the plan and the weight that it carries. With continued development of technology for our students that are deaf, hard of hearing, or deaf-blind, some glossary terms were outdated. The glossary terms were addressed in the updated version of the communication plan annotated notes, both to match current technology and be more inclusive. The former communication plan did not include the purpose or how it is to be implemented. The communication plan should be the driving force to develop an IEP. Very simply, it's all about access. If a student is deaf or hard of hearing or deaf-blind, we need to consider how they are receiving information and expressing themselves. The previous plan did not ask for who provided input to develop the communication plan. The 2022 update asks for the name and the role of the individual sharing information. It is important to note we can include information from multiple sources and environments. Educational staff and parents may provide information prior to the IEP meeting, whether they are in attendance or not. In fact, it is important to gather information from all team members, especially the family and the student. The communication plan is a fluid document. It should be reviewed at the beginning of every IEP. The communication plan should also be updated as language and communication needs change regardless of when the IEP team meeting occurs. For example, a child gets a cochlear implant. Their access to communication will change over time. Initially, the student may not have access to auditory information. As their auditory skills develop, their needs on the communication plan may change. That may include communication modes as well as assistive technology. The updated communication plan considers additional factors that may have an impact on language and communication skills. The revised chart now addresses language and communication modes across environments and recognizes that the student may communicate differently in different settings. When we think about the communication plan, we must consider a variety of environments. The way a student communicates during instructional time versus at home or non-instructional settings can look very different. For example, a student may use spoken English for expressive communication in class but may need American Sign Language for receptive communication. Maybe when the student is with friends in a social setting, ASL is used. At home, the student and family may use spoken English for both expressive and receptive communication. When utilizing this chart, you can differentiate the communication modes to fit all the different ways the student uses language. All of these terms are in the glossary at the end of the communication plan. All of these areas need to be considered when writing the IEP goals, specially designed instruction, transition grid, etc. The chart is to inform the school team regarding the student's preferred method for learning and communicating. Language and communication modes checked are to be those used and preferred by the student to receive communication and express ideas. This may not be the same for receptive and expressive preferences and in different settings. Non-instructional settings include settings such as lunchtime, school clubs, and extracurricular activities. The comments column provides a place to note any additional communication modes used by the student. Let's take a look at the changes to Section 3, Academic Level Assistive Technology and Services. In this section, it is requested to document the use of technology both at home and school. It describes the frequency of use and the staff member responsible for monitoring the equipment at school. The IEP team discusses if there are any training needs for staff, family, and/or peers, and who will provide the training. Any identified training needs should be listed in the IEP. Section 4, Full Range of Needs. Please detail any additional factors that may influence the student's language and communication skills. Those may include a medical diagnosis, social factors, cultural factors, mental health concerns, homelessness, or other relevant issues. In summary, the communication plan should be completed at the beginning of the annual IEP meeting. It should include any new or updated information and be based on data and assessments. All members of the IEP team should have input, including the student and the family, whether they are in attendance or not. And remember, the communication plan can be revised at any time to meet the student's changing needs. The release date for the updated communication plan will be October 14th, 2022. If you have any questions regarding the communication plan, please reach out to your Patent Educational Consultants.